Okay guys, today we're going to talk about Doom Eternal and the Denuvo Anti-Cheat driver that was introduced today in the latest update. Now, Doom Eternal has become the latest game to use a kernel-level driver to aid with the detection of cheating in multiplayer games. And basically, Denuvo Anti-Cheat will only run when the game is active, and the Bethesda patch notes had talked about that it would install and use a kernel mode driver, which I do applaud them for their transparency there. Now, the driver only will start when the game launches, and it will stop when the game is ended, or the process of the Doom executable has stopped, which is a difference from something like Valorant or going back to the old days of Star Force, where it would install a OS driver that would actually start up when you reloaded the machine, for example. And so the Denuvo people are saying that there's no monitoring or data collection going on outside of what's going on in a multiplayer game. And it doesn't attempt to, maintain integrity of the system in any way, or it doesn't, block cheats or mods or developer tools or anything like that. It only detects cheating in multiplayer games. Now, before we continue, we need to be very clear. Doom Eternal launched with Denuvo Anti-Tamper, which is completely separate from Denuvo Anti-Cheat, which launched in today's patch. Incidentally, Doom Eternal actually came with a DRM-free copy of the executable, so the Denuvo Anti-Tamper was kind of made redundant pretty much from day one anyway. But I just want to be clear that this is not the same as Denuvo Anti-Tamper, which is used for copy protection or DRM purposes. This is a anti-cheating driver for online, which was, again, introduced today. So Denuvo Anti-Cheat, stops or at least mitigates cheating online, and that's a good thing. I mean, I personally don't like cheaters online, and I'm sure, most of you don't either as well. So why is this a problem? Well, there's a few problems here, and some of these go back to the days of Star Force. Now, I have some concerns here, especially when it comes to the days of Star Force. Now, Star Force was a DRM protection measure that was introduced in the early 2000s that had a lot of negative popularity associated to it. It basically was an absolute dog's breakfast about what it actually did to your system and what it potentially could do to your system. So the thing about the Denuvo Anti-Cheat, it has shades of Star Force, and it really has to do with transparency and intent. Now, first of all, Denuvo Anti-Cheat continues that current trend of installing a kernel level or a Ring O level driver onto your machine. Now, this was also something that we saw recently with Valorant as well, which caused some concern and some criticism amongst, both the media, YouTubers, just general public and players. So why are these kernel level drivers so bad? If you think about it, if you install like Steam, or if you have NVIDIA, GeForce drivers running, or the NVIDIA Experience, I mean, that's a kernel level driver as well. Well, essentially, it comes down to this. It's really the fear of the unknown about what this driver is actually doing. And that's the problem. It could be doing anything. We kind of put our trust in these companies, and a lot of these drivers, or most of them, should be certified at least, and they've undergone rigorous testing procedures to make sure they're not doing anything malicious. But the problem with this is that a anti-cheat driver like this that's kind of been introduced after the fact, it has complete access to your system. It could be doing anything. It could be accessing your files. It could be intercepting your keystrokes. It could be doing absolutely anything. We put our trust in these companies and their certification to install these drivers, knowing that they'll do the right thing. But can you really know? Unless you are a security researcher or you decide to disassemble the driver in IDA Pro to learn more about it, then you don't really know what's going on. And I think that's what really makes a lot of people very concerned. The driver also, because it's a Ring O, can be updated silently. So who knows what will happen 6 months from now? What will the driver look like as far as what features have been brought into it? And that's where it really gets interesting. Now, I personally don't think, and I want to be clear, I don't think Denuvo Anti-Cheat or the company is doing anything malicious here. But it's kind of beside the point because there's more things to consider as well. I mean, if the driver itself is buggy, it can crash and blue screen your PC, and we've seen this before. If we go back to the days of Star Force, you could get into a boot loop with no way out. Not even safe mode would help you. And unless you had a system restore you could go back to, you would have to reinstall Windows. And I've seen and heard about countless stories. I mean, look up people that tried to run King Kong on their Windows PCs with Star Force, and you'll get an understanding of some of the absolute horror stories that you'll hear about. An unstable kernel-level driver is a bad thing. Now, Denuvo Anti-Cheat does not start with Windows. It starts when you launch the Doom Eternal game. So at least any issues can be confined when the game is running. If you're going to get a blue screen, you're going to get it when you're running the Doom executable itself. There's no real other way around that, which is a good thing. But look, I've already heard the rumors that the anti-cheat is causing trouble under Linux. Now, Doom Eternal runs under Linux, and apparently it's a really good version of the game. And I'm hearing reports that the game is impossible to play right now. Now, this is unconfirmed. If anyone has any more info about this, please leave a comment below and let me know your story about it. Now, if we go back to Star Force for a minute, it was criticized because it silently installed itself on your machine. Now, Doom Eternal and the Denuvo Anti-Cheat does prompt the user that it's being installed. So no worries there. But however, this isn't really the answer. The patch notes outline that the Denuvo Anti-Cheat would be introduced, but you can kind of sense that Bethesda are aware about the incoming concern, and they attempted to reassure its players that there would be nothing malicious going on here. Now, that's, again, I don't have any issues with Bethesda here, but I also feel like it's kind of something that the player should be informed about when they purchase the game. So, for example, if you bought Doom Eternal, then you need to be informed upon purchase, or even before purchase, as you're kind of looking at the notes as you're about to buy the game, or its end-user license agreement, then it should be telling you there that, by the way, we are installing a kernel-level driver for anti-cheat purposes. I think, again, it goes back to that transparency that we just don't see from Denuvo. It's something that, was kind of just introduced after the fact. Now, if this was something that was originally planned, then, that's even worse. And if it was just brought in recently because, of cheating that was going on, it's still kind of a shady, underhanded approach. I mean, the point here is, guys, is that the customer is always the last person to be informed, and that's not really the way it should be. If trust is need to be earned, then it has to start with Denuvo themselves being a lot more open and honest about this. If I purchased Doom Eternal and it said we need to install an anti-cheat kernel level driver on your machine, then I think that would go a long way to really setting expectations and making the public feel a lot more comfortable and earning back some of that trust. But as it stands today, it's one of those things where they just kind of slide in during a patch and then let people just have to deal with it. Now, a lot of people won't even care about this stuff. A lot of people don't even know what they're installing. But for those that do, this does cause the same types of concerns as what Star Force did back in the 2000s. Now, the other thing is, guys, many people don't even play Doom online. And I personally am a fan of the single-player campaign. I don't really play online either. So I could live without the Denuvo Anti-Cheat driver that's installed on my machine. But here's the problem. Everyone is impacted by this. It doesn't matter if you're playing single-player or multiplayer. As soon as you uninstall the Denuvo driver of your machine, which you can absolutely do, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. There's no way to load the game. The game will not run. It wants you to reinstall the driver again. So you can't be a single player user and play this game unless you install the Denuvo Anti-Cheat. So why are single players being punished here? It should be absolutely not permitted on single player campaign. It would mean that many users that don't care about multiplayer could skip over the Denuvo install, which I think would be a fair solution, a fair compromise. So I want Bethesda to really go back to listen to some of the users and some of their concerns about this, and maybe relax the Denuvo Anti-Cheat restriction on the single player campaign. There's really no reason why it needs to be there. And in fact, I'm hearing stories about how performance is being degraded on the single player campaign. Now, I personally am running the game with the Denuvo turned on just for this video, and I can see a couple of FPS drops as well, but look, I can't tell you what my frame rates were before because I honestly just don't remember. They seem to be a little lower, but again, take that with a grain of salt. But there are always these stories about how Denuvo does degrade performance and it does drop your frame rate. So if you're having issues with performance that you weren't before playing single player, let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. So right now, as it stands, it's kind of all or nothing. If you want to play Doom Eternal, then unfortunately you have to install a kernel level driver. So for me, honestly, the choice is simple. I'm not going to endorse anything like this. I can't endorse the use of a kernel level driver, a kernel level anti-cheat driver installation, simply because no one out there can guarantee what they're doing, how safe they are, and how they could evolve over time. Now, we've heard from Denuvo PR that they are safe, and they go into some detail about what they do and what they don't do. And I appreciate that response from the company, but I personally believe that Ring O level kernel drivers are a very lazy solution to a problem that could be addressed without this level of access. And I want to see more work being put in investing in anti-cheat methods that do not require Ring O. I think really whoever decides to spend the money and the research coming up with a solution to that will ultimately be the winner here. But until then, or if a patch comes out for Doom Eternal that addresses the single player Denuvo concerns that I have, I will not be playing Doom Eternal on my PC anymore. But I want to hear your thoughts, guys, in the comments below. What do you think about this story? Do you think that I'm being overreactive? Do you think that kernel level drivers aren't really a big deal anymore? Or do you think something needs to change in the industry? Let me know what you think about these thoughts and more in the comments below. If you like this video, you know what to do. Leave me a thumbs up, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now.